Hi, my name is David Upshaw. I'm the Academic Lead for Healthcare at the University of Derby Online Learning, and I'm joined this week by...
I'm Vicky Cockrell. I'm a lecturer in nursing, also at the University of Derby Online.
And Vicky's got a really diverse background, but we'll talk about that a bit later on. So, welcome to week 2 of the course. I hope you're all enjoying yourselves. This is kind of like a sum-up video at the end of the week, where we can talk about some of the key points raised. And also I've got some comments from the discussion boards which I thought I would share with you, which have been really good. So first off, just to say, I've seen some really great mind maps this week, some really fantastic ones with arrows and all sorts of different colours of things. I've been really impressed with those. They're really for you to use rather than us for assessment purposes. So if you can use them in any environment that you are, or you share them with your colleagues or your friends, or really just for you to think about what you've learned this week and what you've applied and what you've done differently. So really well done on doing those. I've been really impressed with those. So we've had a question from Katie Twyford, who talks about how the design of the environment could be used to optimise communication, especially in relation to minimising external extractions and providing an environment where the solar non-verbal communications can be more easily seen and interpreted. Have you got any thoughts about that then, Vicky? So Casey's asking about how the environment is really important when you're talking to somebody and how you could sort of use that in a positive way. I know that I've worked in hospitals and other places where, certainly speaking to families, it's been really difficult actually, because the environment hasn't been appropriate, and you know, especially for instance at the end of somebody's life and we've had to bring the bad news, for instance, to a family member. I have experienced sometimes when it's not been so good, but equally I've had some experiences when it's been really good. You know, we've had the time and space to be able to do that. So just wonder what your thoughts were on that, really.
I think we have to think about how a person with dementia would respond to communication and the things that are going to be happening for them when we're communicating with them. Now, the difficulty for a start off is the environment can be very busy, certainly if we're in hospitals or in the home where the family is around doing things. So it's about trying to minimise all those distractions to enable that communication to occur and enable the person to concentrate and be able to talk to us, really. And it's also about thinking about our body language and how we communicate, and also thinking about the terminologies and the language we use, and giving the person time to respond and giving them time to process those questions and then time to answer them, remembering that at points people with dementia may not be able to find the words that they want to express. So another element of that is thinking about what we're asking and how we're asking it. So thinking about whether we can ask yes/no questions that can make it much easier for the person. But for me, I would be thinking about what's going on around, how busy is that environment, what other distractions are going on that can detract from the conversation that you're having with the person. And
I know that Royal Derby Hospital, which is a local hospital to us, they've really put a lot of time into the environment and making spaces for people, especially those people who have dementia. And one of the wards even has sort of a memory area so rather than having a day room, they have a seating area that's very much like a living room. So it's about evoking memories and providing a safe place, you know, that's consistently okay for people to go sit in, and things like providing routes on floors and lifts, the floor in lifts being a different colour can really make a difference. So, so Katie's kind of touched upon about communication here, but I think the environment in general is a really important place for people with dementia.
It's massive, it really is. Hospitals, I think, are very big, open, scary places, and if you're having problems with your memory, it's difficult to think about why you're there, and then people are coming in to try and talk to you about different things. They're using complex language. Actually, if you feel comfortable in your environment and safe in your environment, your ability to process the information is greater than if you are anxious and confused.
I think that applies to everybody though. You know, not just people who are living with dementia, but if you're in a place that, you know, let's say you have an operation and you're anxious for being there, you're going to be nervous, aren't you?
Yeah,
know, I think. So,
totally.
Yeah, thanks for that, that's great. So I thought I'd share an interesting post with you, which is from Michael Gray, who says that he's a jog leader who runs with several joggers with mental health issues, and one lady who has Alzheimer's. I found that my running clothing has been of great use in communication and recognition. We're going jogging, and therefore us all being dressed to look like we're going jogging helps them to remember what we're going to do. gives a sense of being part of a group and greatly aids recognition. And this is kind of an extension of what we've been talking about, really. So he's doing something fantastic there. So well done, Michael. I think it's a really great story to share. And he's saying that, you know, they're wearing specific clothing that is contextual and reminds people of what they're doing, the activities that they're doing, and aids them as identity as a group. So
absolutely. And I think it's about thinking about that long-term memory. In your long-term memory, you've got those thoughts of running clothes being associated with running. So he's pulling on that long-term memory to aid his activity, which is brilliant.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? So well done. And the last item we were going to talk about was Rosalind Leonard has just asked a question about could she find out more information on compassionate mind therapy. You've got a bit of a background in cognitive behaviour psychotherapy.
I do, yes.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about compassionate mind therapy and compassion focused therapy as well?
I think it would perhaps be really good to talk about compassion in its broadest sense initially, and that's about the alleviation of suffering. And for people who are certainly in the early stages of dementia, it's a very confusing time for them, and the suffering and the recognition of what's going on for them and the suffering that can bring is very difficult. Now, when we're thinking about compassion therapy, we're thinking about that internal voice that is that sort of poison parrot on the shoulder that's giving you some negative information into your brain. And it's difficult, isn't it? Because when you're going through such a traumatic experience of knowing that you've got dementia but being out of control of that, it's quite difficult. So there is that element that internal voice can be very, very negative for the person. Oh, it's not, I can't remember it, I'm rubbish, I can't do this anymore, that makes me useless. And all those internal processes that then go on can be really, really distressing for the person, in addition to the fact that because they don't know what's going on at points and they don't recognise things at points, they've got that increased anxiety. So actually helping somebody to become compassionate to their difficulties is really, really useful. It's about sort of saying, it's okay, it's okay that I can't remember things, and it's bringing in more of an acceptance with that to make it very compassionate in the actions that they're doing to themselves. And I think we can think about compassionate minds and compassion focused therapy for people with dementia, but I also think we need to think about other people's compassion around them. So it's that respect, that kindness, that understanding, empathy and sympathy that we're going to offer those people to support them to be compassionate to themselves as well. So I think compassion needs that rounded view, doesn't it, of everybody around the person as well as the person being compassionate to themselves.
Yeah, and I think certainly as health professionals in the UK, we've talked about compassion a lot for the last few years.
Absolutely.
But it really is an important thing to remember, and not just to be compassionate with our clients, service users, patients, whoever we speak to, but also with each other and ourselves, which is really important.
Definitely.
Well, okay, we'll bring it to a close now, if that's okay. Thank you very much for joining me, Vicky. It's really good. Thanks to those people who we've mentioned their discussion board points, Katie, Michael and Rosalind. If you've got any more points, questions that you'd like to ask us over the next few weeks, please do so in the discussion board below, this one or indeed at next Friday's, and we'll try our very best to answer them. So thank you very much for joining us. We hope you're enjoying the course, and we'll see you next week.